Bear with me. Trying to get us a better signal here. Alright. Alright. Hopefully we got a better connection here. We should be wired in. If anybody doesn't hear me, please let me know. Not sure how long we'll go here tonight, but I kind of cut it short earlier, and several of you wanted to keep going, talking, so that's why I'm here. You know, it's funny, I share your frustration. I'm kind of reliving my own frustration when I talk to some of you, or when I've gotten some emails from you, and oh god, hang on. You're gonna have to ask that question again. I can't hardly see it on my little phone here, so but I'm pulling it up on a laptop over here. So you can ask that question again if you don't mind. I guess I'll see it here. Oh, did I get a good deal on my truck? Yeah, hey Jeff, glad you're here. If you're talking about my Toyota, I bought that in 2006. I bought that thing brand new, and yeah, I did. The way I bought that is, I told you guys, I think I told you about how to, somewhere I got a video about how to get a good deal on a car, and oh yeah, my wife's, yeah, I bought my wife a new Toyota something, Highline or something like that, Highlander. I bought her something just recently too, and that was a brand new one. Yeah, I got a good deal on it for sure. Hey Andrew, glad you're here too. So you know, it's funny because when I talk to you guys and gals, I don't really know exactly where you're at. I mean, I know some of you are real young and starting, and some are like 30s, some are 40s, some are 50s, some are 60s. And, you know, a lot of the basics are the same. And so I don't want to bore anybody, and I don't want to, I am repetitive on some things because I think that's good, actually. It's even good for me because even after I talk to you guys, I realize, you know, it keeps me on track on what I want to do. Of course, I'm getting tired, and I'm not as motivated as I used to be, but I still enjoy it, and like I said, in the end, I'm hoping these videos will serve my boys as well. So I appreciate everybody's input and questions, and but I thought we'd talk about a little bit about, you know, what gets in the way. You know, I can tell you, all right, Andrew. Cool. Yeah, Andrew, that's good. Right on. Yeah, go ahead and throw it out there, you guys. Yeah, thanks, Sean. I'm happy to share too. You know, when I was younger, I wouldn't share any of this stuff because I didn't want. I mean, I didn't have the web, but I wouldn't share it with. I wouldn't share it with anybody. I wanted. You know, I was going to potentially screw up my, you know, ad competition in an area that I don't want. But I mean, obviously, I found partners and I flipped and I assigned, but and I've learned a lot, you know, over the many years that I've been doing it. Really thirsty today too, by the way. So, you know, look, you can ask me anything you want if you got, you know, but like I said, I was kind of reliving some of the frustrations that I had when I was younger, when I listened to some of the questions, you know, that come from some of you that are just starting out, and I try to give you the basic fundamentals, and some of it's boring. I was using the analogy the other day, wax on, wax off, you know, from the Karate Kid, and basically, you know, those are like the fundamentals of defense, you know, and it's kind of like that, you know. I always try to, you know, concentrate, you know. It's like earlier, if you're watching earlier, I went by a sign, and I'm like, I didn't get the number and I didn't quite read it, and I really didn't feel like turning around. It was raining and there was a little bit more traffic than I wanted to deal with. But I turned around. This is while I was doing a live broadcast. I turned around and went back, and I looked at the sign, and it was nothing. It was a different address. The sign was in front of a house that I was interested in, but the sign didn't pertain to that home. It pertained to another address somewhere else. Somebody just getting attention with it on the side of a busier road. So, but that kind of goes to what I was saying. You turn around and you look. You take time, even if you don't feel like it. Even if your head is pounding, you got a headache, and you're depressed or whatever might be bothering you. You know, you never know. I'm a pretty happy guy, and I'm like anybody, of course. You know, I can get my feelings. I can get upset. You know, things can happen. But I'll tell you, and that's funny too, because I've been through some pretty tough stuff, you know, earlier in life, you know, just some tough stuff, financial stuff, some different stuff. Never filed a bankruptcy. I've never had any problems like that. But I've put myself in a hole, you know, like this took on way more than I could probably handle. I mean, I could handle it, but man, no life. I worked hard, no life, just work. And sometimes that's good because you take on a little more than maybe you can handle, but you know what? You suck it up and you make it happen and you handle it. And that may not be for everybody, but certainly I do that all the time. I usually take on things that are bigger than most people would probably want to take on, and I'm not a big fan of partnerships unless I'm just like flipping something, that sort of thing. And so when you don't want partnerships, it means you got to tow it all yourself, right? And but I like that too, to be honest. And even when I have taken a partnership here and there, I only take about a 2/3. I'm always holding 2/3. I only usually take a partner that, you know, they only get 1/3, and that's because I don't mind doing all the work if I get most of the money. That's kind of how my whole thing is. So I got a couple questions here from Andrew. Let me read here. Nice to come across first, like you. Yeah, and you know, okay, so Andrew writes, I don't know if you guys can see it or not, I'm kind of lame on this internet stuff, but so it's nice to come across a person like you who shares your true passion. I hope to be able to do that once I get some experience under my belt. And you will, I'm sure you will, and I appreciate you saying that, thanks. But you say something there about having a passion for it. I do. And I tell you, you gotta want it. And I think by virtue of you being here watching the video, you want it, right? I mean, I had boxes of books, man. Napoleon Hill, you know, Tony Robbins. I mean, I bought every kind of motivational book, every money-making, creating wealth, you know, wealth without, I mean, all kinds of books. And I even had doubles of some of them. If I couldn't find them, I'd buy them again. And I had one in my car, and I'd have one somewhere else. And I know that I did read and reread As a Man Thinketh, you know, Think and Grow Rich. I read all those books probably, you know, 50 times, you know, at least, and or certain paragraphs over and over again too, because sometimes being repetitive about what, you know, writing your goals down too. I talk about that all the time, right? Writing your list in the morning. It's really important because just think about it. We have all these things, especially now. It's probably harder than ever now. I mean, I'm kind of a hyper guy, so I can get distracted easily all by myself. But anymore, you know, you turn on the internet, it's like news, something of interest, you know, just different things to distract you. And I think you almost got to try not to even just push that stuff off, you know. Maybe don't make Yahoo or whatever news page your opening page, because it can very well be distracting you from really what you know, from focusing on what you should be doing. So this is kind of an open ramble, so like I say, I'm going anywhere you guys take me with questions. So Andrew, you got, what do you think is your ratio on flipping the deal from watching over signs? No, I'll bet it's better than 1 in 100. I really do think it's better than that. Now, I'm not counting signs that are real estate signs, you know, agents, you know, listing agents, that sort of thing. But I do buy a lot of those too. Like when I'm watching my neighborhood real close, like I have 7 houses over my shoulder that I could almost hit, or probably hit at least one of them with a rock if I really tried. And then I could probably throw a rock from one to the other after that. And then I could start throwing them another direction and start hitting commercial property that I own. A rock's throw from each other. Boom, 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 boom. You know, and I could probably go at least a half mile, maybe more. I think there's a pretty good span between some of those. But, so that's how closely I watch my surrounding area. For sale sign comes up with an agent, first thing I call. As soon as I call, I try to close the deal, right? I try to make it happen immediately. Now, not the way today things are today, you know, things get bid up over above the listing price sometimes. So, you know, it's not as easy to do, but I did it on the 3-day deal, right? Those guys, you know, they started the bidding at 100, 110. Could have started at 200,000. So I leapfrogged them all by offering 50,000 more. I said, I'll give you 160, but you got to pull the sign right now. And you know, he took it in. He took it, told the seller, hey, this guy says he'll buy it right now, but he won't buy it tomorrow. He'll just buy it right now. And so that was one that I was able to pull out, but it doesn't always happen that way. But what I was going to say is, when you concentrate on your neighborhood, you're the first one there, and that's happened over and over again. Here's the other thing: when you're the first one there, and you're calling the listing agent. Remember, the listing agent gets both sides of the commission. The commission is, say, 6%, and usually somebody else sells it, so they get half that. When you call on their sign, they're going to get both sides. They're going to get the whole 6%. So there's more motivation there than you realize for that agent to make that deal happen that you offer. And so of these, let's see, these 7 houses over here, I sold one of them, so I think I only have 6 right now over here. Although if I jump across the street, it goes to like 10. But into another neighborhood. 1, 2, 3. I would say 4. Okay, I bought 4 of those 7 from real estate agents. The other ones I bought direct from the owners, and those owners, a couple of them actually contacted me because they knew I was so active buying in the area, which actually is going to lead to another story we got to talk about too. Because when you buy a lot of real estate, sometimes the neighbors don't necessarily love rentals, and there's other petty jealousies that get in the way. You buy a house that somebody else wanted, then they try to they try to interrupt with you. They try to interfere with what you're doing. And I've had that. I've had to sue people for sticking their nose in my business, and I don't like doing it. But I don't like people sticking their nose in my business either. And especially when they're costing me money, and or really being stupid. And I've had some of that, and I've had to really punish people for doing that. And but I mean, believe me, I put up with a lot of crap before I ever came down on them. But at some point, you just, and anymore now, I just can't even, well, it hasn't happened lately, put it that way. I think you get a reputation of not putting up with any crap too. So anyways, different story there. But in some respects, when I've had interference from the neighbors, I double down and I buy up even more and more and more in that area. It just doubles my, intensity in that area, because I resent, people, messing with me. But, and in fact, it's funny, because I had a couple of old guys that were just, they're afraid of their shadow. I don't know what the problems are, but one guy thought I was going to buy these houses and put a Walmart in or something. He just didn't understand, it would never happen. It would never happen. It was not a property anyways. And, but those fears got the best of him, and he wouldn't leave me alone. So I had to sue him. But also I doubled down my intensity in fighting in that neighborhood and getting what I want. I also did some rezoning. But, and I'll tell you what happened is, these old guys that were trying to cause me the most trouble put a couple $1 million in my pocket. And the reason they did is because I had to walk the neighborhood and knock on the doors and introduce myself and talk to people and say, hey, listen, I bought that. And like, oh yeah, we heard you're going to do some terrible things. I say, yeah, I'm not. And I talk to them, and then they realize, oh shoot, Tom's all right. And so I won the neighborhood over. But in the process, I introduced him. I met everybody that lives there, and half of them, or not half of them, but half of the sales I bought in that neighborhood ended up being those people that I met by going door to door. And the only reason I had to do that is because these idiots that were, trying to, mess up my investing. And in fact, it led me to get on a commercial part of a property, and I ended up buying a couple of very big, beautiful industrial and commercial properties that I still own today, and that I've made millions on, just in rents. And so it's funny. It did exactly the opposite of what they wanted. They wanted to damage me, and all they ended up doing is damaging themselves, getting sued. But also, they made me even wealthier because they caused me to introduce and meet people that liked me and sold me more property. And anyways, that's how it went. So get to some of these questions. Let's see. I'm backing up from the beginning here, looking at Jeff's here. Okay, yeah, so yeah, good, Jeff. Yeah, focus on your area. Like I say, I tried to fly a drone. It didn't go too well. I have to share that video with you. But I got a drone. I'm going to program it up. I'm going to fly that direction a mile or two and come back, and then I'll highlight all the properties that I bought within that drone's range. But yeah, do it, man. Just stick to it. Just really, I try to take. Listen, I got nothing to make from you, right? I'm not trying to con you into buying a book or do a seminar or any ridiculous stuff like that. I'm sharing with you. Concentrate on your neighborhood. You don't have to go far away. If you got a pocket of land and lots of little lots that are affordable that's 10 miles away, then fine. Go there, drive there, check it out, do it. That makes sense. But in your immediate neighborhood, that's the easiest and best, and believe me, I live by it. I went to California recently, and I was just blown away myself when I went back. Then I realized how many properties I had owned in that immediate area where I first bought my very first property. And in any area that I've lived, I've done that. And even here, where I'm here right now. Give you an example. One time we had some really bad weather issues. Okay, and in one path of damage from this storm, it did over $500,000 in damage just to my real estate because it was so close. It was so close. One little pocketed area got hit real hard with this storm, but all of my stuff was condensed in that one area, and it did over $500,000 worth of damage, just to my stuff. I had insurance, and it paid for everything, but that gives you an idea of how closely things are together. So Jeff, yeah, please stay on that. Do it. How do you do that with no money? Well, listen, I've done some deals with no money. And in fact, a couple of these houses that I bought over here, I bought them without ever seeing them inside. I drove by them, said I'd take them, and I had to actually have somebody else go write the contract up because I was afraid my name would, the neighbors were being spooked by a couple people. So I ended up buying the properties in somebody else's name and then had them assigned to me, and then I closed them. But I bought some of those properties without ever walking into them until after I owned them. Getting off subject there, but so with no money, look, if you want to know how I did one with no money, look at, you look at some of the partnership deals I talk about, houses that I bought. I find a deal, I put a couple $100s down, which to me is no money. I put a couple $100s down, tied it up, even when a couple $100s was, rent. That's still, I don't consider that a lot of money. I think everybody can come up with a couple $100. And if you can't, then you probably got problems that I'm not going to be able to help you with. But most people can come up with a couple $100. But I wrote a check for a couple $100. I got the property tied up, and then I found a partner, and he put up the money. So that's a no money down deal for me, because somebody else put the money up. Okay. And then I bought, there's a building I have, one of my other videos, where I went to John Brooks, and I said, hey John, let's buy this thing. He was my old boss. And he said, Tommy, I don't want a partner. He goes, how about I give you 20 grand and you go away and I buy it by myself? And again, that was no money. I didn't even buy it. That was a $20,000 deal. It was just strictly an assignment. So, here's what's cool about this real estate stuff is, you're the personality that you are. You might be quiet, you might be gregarious, you might be whatever you are. But You talk to people and get to know people, and your mind is what your mind is. You may think of ways, creative ways to make deals that I could never think of, and it may be subject. It may even be something that's, has something to do with the area that you live. Who knows? But so just have faith in yourself that you can do it, and just know that there really are no rules. The rules are whatever you and that seller agree to. You can have all kinds of crazy deals going on, but it's all about what you can get somebody to agree to. So let's see. Listing agents will do that. It's wrong on their part, but great. Nah, I don't want to say it's wrong, Andrew. I think I don't want to say that's wrong. I think anybody's motivated. Listen, somebody comes to you and they say, "I want to buy it." Of course, they want to close the deal. They're the agent. They bring it to the seller. The seller can say yes or no. But an advantage of dealing with the listing agent is, of course, that he does make twice as much money. So you'll get a lot more of his attention than you will if you are somebody working with another agent. He has to work with you directly. Another agent, he's got to work with an agent that's working with another buyer. So it's an advantage to deal directly with the listing agent for a number of reasons. Not just because they're going to get twice as much money, but think about this. I'll tell you, one of the houses I bought 3 houses ago, just before I started this blog. Same thing. First one there, the phone was ringing, people were calling. I had competition just breathing all down my neck wanting this thing. And I'm talking with the listing agent, and I said, "Look, I want you to come pick the check up at my office." Now, the reason I want him to come to my office is I want him to see that I have this big, beautiful building with, that's, it establishes that I'm a wealthy guy, that I'm a substantially financially substantial person, because I want him to know that. Then when he came in, he actually brought a couple of his kids with him, and I sat down there and talked to him at my conference table, and then I showed him some of my bank accounts to reassure him that I have all the money necessary to close this thing. I'm going to buy it. It's not a problem, no issue. And so I had the advantage, because he was a listing agent, I had the advantage of being able to get him in my office, establish to him that Tom is good as gold. This guy will close, because it's a little bit of a mystery until, and they'd have a pre-qual letter from a bank or something like that, and that just says you can get a loan. But I had the advantage of getting him in my office, making him feel very comfortable that if I sign this deal, if the seller signs this deal, we're going to close this deal at the date it says. That's simple. It's going to happen. And because they worry about that not happening, because a lot of deals do go south because people don't have the money to close, or something goes wrong. So there's a real advantage to dealing with the listing agent anyways, because you have the benefit of making them feel somebody could come in with a little offer for even a little bit more money, but sometimes they just want the guy that they know will close the deal. These people want to move out of town, or they want to, they want to get their money and go. And so that's another advantage. So don't lose it on that. I don't want you to feel like, that the agent is, like duping their seller, for the commission, because I don't think that's the case. And I've seen plenty of agents that they pretty much, they'll take but the highest offer, they just put it on the table. They're very good about it. So all right, so Sean is asking about contractors. Oh, Andrew, let me jump up to Andrew's. The implications on assignment, well, it's just like anything. You got to pay tax on your profits, that's all. There's nothing, no problem at all. Just pay tax on your income. That's how it goes. So that's all I can tell you. There's no getting around taxes. You got to pay taxes. So that's the only implication, is that, but it's not a problem, right? If you're paying taxes, you're making money. So no problem. So Sean, let's see, how should one go about hiring contractors for invest? It's like anything. You want to hire people that have a reputation for doing their job. You check references. You don't really want to hire. I've been around long enough, and I know well enough. I'm a pretty skilled guy. I can do a lot of things in construction. So it isn't hard for me to know if somebody doesn't know what they're doing or not. You know, I can talk to them, I can look at their tools, I can, you know, see their truck, I can see what's in the back of their truck, and I can see, okay, yeah, this guy's got the right stuff. You know, he appears to know what he's doing, and then I can talk to him, and I can find out if he's got the skills or if he's just somebody middleman in it, and he's hiring, you know, people, you know, because some people are small enough that, you know, they'll hire people to help them, like carpet layers. You know, a lot of times carpet layers, sometimes they get a good one helping them. You know, carpet businesses, the carpet layers, they jump all over the place. They work for multiple companies. So sometimes they don't always have, like a big company has its own personal carpet layers, and they know who's good, and they keep them happy, and they keep them busy, and that's what happens. So, but no, you got to check references, and just, you know, that's the main thing. That's be my best advice to you, is make sure you find people that know what they're doing. That's for you, Sean. So, and let's see. No, Andrew. An assignment. I wouldn't say it skips capital gains. It's just income, and you have to pay tax on income. So you're going to pay tax on it. It really doesn't. It's not a. I don't think that would be considered a capital gain to be. I mean, it's a capital gain to you, of course, but I don't know that that's not a capital gain on a piece of real estate, because you didn't buy it, right? You didn't buy it. So I guess it could be considered passive income, but you'd have to talk to your CPA about that one, to be quite honest. But you know, if you're renting, that's considered passive income, and you've got other dividend income that's passive income. Now, I'm no tax expert. I mean, I've got you know, I have about 20 tax returns I pay to have done every year, you know, I mean, I know some. I'm not going to give you any tax advice, but no, it's income. It's income. You pay tax on it. If you're in a higher bracket, you're going to pay more. You know, just normal stuff. But on capital gains, you know, you'll pay roughly 34% now on something. If you bought and sold it the next day, you'd pay 34% on your gain. That's my understanding at the moment. But if you wait a year, it'll drop 15%. Let's see. But if I went through as a buyer, I would have to pay capital gains as an assignment. No, I don't think I mean, if capital gains is the rule on that, then you're going to pay 34%. You know, or they may just treat it as ordinary income, and you'll pay whatever that rate is that you pay on income. So, you know, really it's a tax man's question, but one thing's for sure, you're going to pay some tax. If you can get away, if it can be considered dividend income or passive income, you'll pay less. But that's as far as I can stretch to talk about on that. How long would you say it would take someone to become a full-time real estate investor, earn enough passive income to pay the bills and do, you know, not very long. You know, I think you can. Let me tell you how long. Think about this. It wasn't my first deal, but it was one of many deals I did. But I had one deal that I could have lived on. I bought 70 acres for $140,000, $2,000 an acre, and I put $35,000 down. I think. Pretty sure it was $35,000. It was 1/4, 25%. So I bought this property. Then I got to do the math in my head here. I think I did a video on this one already too. So I bought 70 acres for $140,000, and then I put it up for sale immediately for $520,000. Right. So I had $35,000 out of pocket on this thing, and I sold it for $520,000, and there was a 6% escrow. So 6% of 520, that sounds like $31,200 I had to pay in commission to some agent that sold it. So 520 less 30, so that's 490. So 490, and I paid 140. That sounds like I made $350,000. So I made $350,000. Now, I didn't get all cash. I think I got 110,000 cash. So that 110,000, 30 of that went to the agents. So that left 90 that went back into my pocket. So I went from 35,000 out of my pocket cash to buy this thing to now the next day or whatever I've got $90,000 cash, or say 80, 90 right in there. But now I also had a note payable to me, secured by a deed of trust, and so now I had somebody paying me $2,500 a month for the next 10 years is what the note was. They actually defaulted a few years later, but for 2 or 3 years I had $2,500 a month coming in just on that one deal. Plus I had $90,000 in the bank. So I can tell you at that time, that was enough to live on for me. I could definitely live on $2,500 a month and have $90,000 in the bank. So one deal, you could be a full-time real estate investor. So think about that. That one deal. I had done many other little smaller deals before that and made some money. Then I was an active guy. I'm doing a lot of deals, but just on that one deal alone, I could have lived on the $2,500 a month for sure. And if I need another 1,000 or 2 a month, I'd have 90 grand to pull from, right? So yeah. So you can make it. It can happen pretty fast. It can happen pretty fast. And I used to just buy and sell lots. So in Chaz, I don't think Chaz is on here, but he's one of our subscribers. And Chaz, I think he flipped 3 lots, and he's got $200 a month coming in for each of those lots. So now he's got $600 a month coming in. And I did a lot of that stuff. I bought a lot of properties where I made 10 grand and 5 grand on it, and where I'd get my money back that I put out, and then I would get a note for $10,000, and they'd pay $100 to $200 a month. And you do 40 of those, and now you got $6,000 to $8,000 a month coming in every month. So you can make things happen pretty fast, and it adds up. And I always like to say, interest never sleeps. And most people think about that when they think about the bank, and they just want to pay that loan off. I think about it also from the terms of that I like to carry notes, and I like to collect that interest too. So it's good to be on either side of that, if you're making money. So let's see, Stacy's got a question. Has finding great deals always come naturally to you? Have you ever been up against roadblock after roadblock and thought maybe you should go into a new direction? Well, I would say pretty much yes to all that, but there are roadblocks, and it doesn't. You can say it comes naturally to me. You know what? I just was fortunate enough to find out that you can make a lot of money in real estate. Somebody offered me $20,000 more for a property than I had just purchased it for, and that's what made my eyes get big, and that's what turned me on to real estate. And then after that, I started, just reading everything I could, kind of like you're doing with this video, and I started making offers, and I started, most of it self-taught, but the motivation came from knowing that it could be done. Like you're going to get motivated from me talking about these deals. I know you are. How can you not? But when you go out and you prove it to yourself, you get that first deal, and then you're going to go, well, can I do it again? And then you're going to do it again, and then you're still going to wonder, can I really do this again and again? And then after you do it again and again, you're going to know, yeah, it's definitely possible. It's definitely possible. And that's what you got to do. You prove it out to yourself, and then then everything gets easy, because you know what's going to happen. But you'll have those dry spells. I mean, like I say, I was saying, I think earlier, you might hit a couple home runs in a month, and then nothing for 6 months. And a lot of it has to do with working hard. Like I say, the harder I work, the luckier I am, right? And it is that. You got to work hard. You call on those signs. You just look. You're curious. You talk. People say, you hear somebody talking about somebody wants something to sell, and say, oh, really? What is it? Ask. Worst thing that's going to happen is you're going to learn you're going to learn something. You're going to learn what real estate's selling for in another area or something like that. So, but I have a passion for it. I love it. I'm interested. I like to make a profit, and I kind of take pride that I do a good job and that I make properties look nicer and all that sort of thing. So you got to just kind of get it in your blood. Yeah, flipping land is cool. But land, it can be tough too. Just to know, because land doesn't produce an income unless you're getting money for a lot, like for somebody to have a yard in it, and I've done that before too. But land is pay money, you're holding it, and it doesn't bring an income, and sometimes it has a mortgage if you're paying on it, but it is wonderful, and I love land because a lot of people that buy land usually know more about land than the realtors that they buy from. So, but land is wonderful, and I made a few $1 million on a piece of land not that long ago, and now it's a couple of buildings. Well, all right. So Sean, hey MJ, glad you're here. Okay, so Sean, how do you avoid money pits? No, I mean, I already know the area because I only buy around locally, so I don't have to really do a big study on the area. I already know. I only buy where I live. I buy where I live. Sometimes I might buy where I used to live, or a little bit. But for the most part, I just buy where I live. So I already know the area. I know the economic status of that particular area wherever I live. And then the only other thing is I look at if I'm buying a rental property, or you want to see what the trash service costs. You want to know what the taxes are. Of course, the taxes are going to be based on whatever you pay for it mostly. So you can kind of calculate what the taxes are going to be based on what you pay for it. The other thing is, but you want to see maintenance. Are the ACs breaking? Is there a lot of roof repair? I mean, are the roofs bad? Do they get repaired every single year, or 3 or 4 or 5 times a year? I like some of mine right now. some I got a couple properties. I'm gonna have to bite the bullet and put a couple $100,000 out and re-roof some buildings. But that's that's fine. That's just how it is. So let's see, Andrew. Rural land can bring in an income for many. Yeah, it does. No, listen. Well, usually that's where the land is. But I have a property. I mean, again, rocks throw this way. I bought it for $140, and I think I sold it for $270 a couple months after I bought it. So I made over $100,000, $120,000, $130,000. I've got another piece of land that way. I bought for $10,000, Dan. It's the $60,000 deal, I think, or $60,000 profit. That land. You can look at that. So when I was walking on a sidewalk ended, and I thought, that's weird, and I realized this sidewalk ended because that's a property line, and where the sidewalk picks up is another property line, and in between these two sidewalks is a piece of land. And just right out my door, I was pushing my daughter, in my baby in her little stroller, and that's how I found that one. So, and that I made $60,000 on. I bought it for 40, and I sold it for I think 110. So, have you purchased vacant land from people who owe back taxes? Well, I mean, sometimes there's back taxes owed on. I mean, just about everything you buy is going to have some taxes owed, but not necessarily people that were in dire straits or anything like that. Did the buyer do anything with the land? Yeah, you know what he did? He built 2, because actually after I bought that land, I rezoned it. It took me 3 weeks and $350, or maybe even $100, and I rezoned it for multifamily because it was adjacent to multifamily on 2 sides, so it was easy to get the rezone. So that's what I did, and that guy bought it, and he built 2. And I mean, I could have built 20 units on that, but what he did is he built 2 fourplexes. I'm sorry, he built 2 duplexes, and then he condoed them, so he sold each side. So there's 4 units on that property, and I mean, those things sold for $500,000 per unit. So he made a lot of money. He made $2 million. Or I'm sorry, he sold 2 duplexes individually as condos for $500,000 a piece. So he made several. I mean, he probably made $600,000-800,000. To be honest, I was a little bit shocked at how much people would pay for half a duplex. I was a little bit new to the area at the time, but yeah, I was a little bit in awe over that. So yeah, you know, and I build too, and you know, you can make a lot of money building too. That's the thing. Once you got enough money, you can experiment and play around. You can build a building, build a house, build spec homes, and you may find that you like something else, you know, and you might start doing that. You know, I built several buildings that I own and still, you know, control and rent out, and I enjoy that too. I do. In fact, I could probably have a whole lot more money than I do right now, and I got plenty. But I actually enjoy my life, that I actually do try new things. You know, like I told you, I've been spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on apps, building apps, and not something I'm very strong on right now. But well, I'm determined to make some money in that business. But I can play. While I'm playing around with that, it's taking energy from, you know, doing what I do best, which is real estate. So, like I said, if I just did only real estate and concentrated on all the time, I would have more money. But that's kind of what's nice about when you make some money. You have options. You can either just live to make money, or you can enjoy yourself. You know, it's like me doing this blog. I ain't making any money doing this, but you know, it's fun. I enjoy sharing. So that's what it is. No, I can't tell you that, Andrew, but someday I will. I've been looking at a lot of different stuff, but I'll share some of that app stuff with you guys down the road. Yeah, vacant land is a good niche for sure. You gotta, Sean, you just have to watch most of my videos to know most of that. But pretty much, you know, I'll just buy anything that I think there's a profit on. That's what I do. Let's see, Stacy. How did you evaluate the cost of repairs? Yeah, I lost one property. I bought 80 acres. This isn't like a building or a lemon, but she's asking if I ever bought something that I regretted. And I've actually missed a few deals that I regretted more than buying ones. Most everything I ever buy makes money. Yeah, almost, I mean, always, except one time I bought 80 acres, and I bought it with a buddy of mine, and man, we just didn't, you know, the economy had a major, this is before the Gulf War, I mean, all kinds of stuff came into play that jacked with values, and that can happen. But I paid $320,000 for 80 acres, and it was owner carried. I think we each put $50,000 down. And then later my buddy put another 50 down, and then I told him, hey, you know what, the property's not worth what we paid for it, so we might as well just give it back to the owner. And that's what we did. I deeded it back to the owner, and then I ended up eating part of, my friend had $50,000 more than I did, so I ended up giving him another $25,000. So it cost me $25,000 to give it away, because I don't, you know, I didn't want my friend to be out more money than me. And sometimes that's the problem with doing deals with friends, is you'll hurt yourself. I mean, I could afford to take the hit, so I did. But if things were tighter, it might have been tougher, and that could have put a rift in that relationship. But fortunately, I'd made plenty of money, so it didn't matter that much. But yeah, so the things that I think get in the way of getting rich, really are just all self-inflicted. You know, you gotta stay on subject, and you got to stay focused, and you got to be diligent, and you got to save money. Let me talk about overhead. You know, I tell you, I was really good about when I got out of high school. I did not like paying rent. I did not like it, and I remember I had a house I paid $125 a month rent, and that was really cheap. You know, it was a long time ago, but that was still really cheap. But that house was so small. You walk in, it had a little living room, and then you had to walk through the bedroom to get to the bathroom. Well, in the bedroom was so small that I had a waterbed back then. My waterbed was bigger than the bedroom, so I had to cut 6 inches off the waterbed, and which messed up the mattress, made it a lot thicker or whatever. And but I had to cut my mattress down 6 inches in width, stuck it in there, and it touched 3 walls, and you could barely squeeze by it to get into the restroom. But I thought, you know what? I work all the time. What do I care about where I live? You know, I was just a place to sleep. You know, I really did work hard. I would work. I would get up early, get my breakfast, and then I would work and work, or look for work if I didn't have work. And I would just only buy tools and buy things that I could turn into more money. And then at the end of the day, I would always work long hours. So it would be like, you know, grab something, like grill a steak at home or something like that, and drink a beer and go to sleep, and get up and do it again early in the morning. So all I needed was a TV and a living room to stay awake for a couple hours to eat and go back to sleep. So what my point is you know, keep your overhead low and live well within your means. I mean, there's no reason to, you know, I always say I don't like to look good, I like to feel good. And you know, you guys see me half the time I look like a plumber's helper when I'm on here, right? My hair's kind of astray, and I'm wearing t-shirt and jeans, and you know, often I'm stained by whatever I was picking up or working, or you know, that day. But I watch my buildings and I look at I'm clean, of course I'm clean, but I mean, I care more about feeling good, which means money in the bank, assets, feeling comfortable. That's number one. I care more about that than I do looking good. So even when I was younger, and you know, I had choices. I could buy a car. You know, it's easy to buy a car. Anybody will loan you money to buy a car, it seems like, when you're young. But I mean, I like to pay cash for my cars, and that would mean I'd buy a $1,000 truck. Not very much of a truck, but it would just be reliable. I'd rather have a truck full of tools. The tools would be worth more than my car ever. My tools are always worth more than my truck, always. And so it's those kind of priorities you got to set. But they all make sense, financial sense, right? In other words, I buy tools because tools make me money. I'm not going to buy a fancy car. I mean, how much time do I spend in a car? You know, I mean, it just was not much a part of my life. All I wanted to do is have a truck, tools, you know, toolbox to lock it so nobody could steal my tools. You know, I was a cabinet maker, so most of my tools were inside of a building or a garage where I would build inside. So what else we got? Yeah, you want to save. You definitely want to save money, for sure. And then you just got to invest it. You know, it's not so much what you do for a living, it's what you do with that money that'll probably make the biggest difference in your life. So let's see, next one. What type of housing would be ideal for a single bachelor? You know, yeah. So Sean, I feel a little bit of the same on that. I'm not crazy about HOA fees. Sometimes they include, you know, water and trash, and that's not a bad thing. I've lived in a condo before for a short while, but you know, just keep your overhead low. You know, I mean, if you're single, and I mean, if somebody will rent you part of a guest house, or you know, half of I had a friend of mine. I had a big, beautiful home, and I just rented my friend. It was like a wing of the house, and I think I charged him $500 a month. And I was happy with that, and that was a good deal for him. And you know, so it's just kind of relative. You know, like Cato Kalin used to live, I think, in a little guest house behind OJ's place. So you know, whatever kind of deal you can meet, as long as you're comfortable, you know, that's all that matters. So it doesn't matter, condo, house. I lived in a building too, believe it or not. I had a building. One of my first buildings that I bought, I banged in a little kitchen area and a bar, and I had a living room and a bedroom, and I lived in that building for well over a year, more than a year. And I had a dog, I had everything, and it was kind of funny. I had no yard. I'd open up, and I had my front door opened up into a parking lot, and but I was perfectly happy, you know. In fact, I had kind of a, I think it was Dan Tana or something like that. I forget what it was, But I put a electric garage door on that building, and I had a little BMW I bought, cheap one, used, but it was still fun and cool. So I drove my trucks during the day, but I could actually pull my car, open up the door electronically, and I could pull my car into the building and close it behind me. And I thought that was pretty dang cool. That was in my early 20s. So that was kind of fun. So what else we got here? Okay, Lawrence. We must be the only 10 people not watching the Game of Thrones. You know what? I've never watched the Game of Thrones ever. That's funny. What's Game of Thrones? There you go. Yeah, I've never watched it either, Andrew. Yeah, you know, the main thing is that you can make some money. And, you know, so condos, you know, I'll tell you a condo story. My sister bought a condo, and when they went to clean it up, they found an envelope with $1,800 in it that somebody had stashed that had lived there sometime before. So it's kind of a nice. Oh boy, here we go. I'm not sure how long we've been talking. I'm dimming my screen here a little bit. So I'm dimming my screen, but then it's getting tough to read. So let's see. No, my wife does not know anything about real estate, to be quite honest. I'll pull up to a property and she'll say, "Why are you stopping here?" And I'll say, "Well, I bought this." That's how interested she is in my real estate. Although in the last few years she has started doing some of the bookkeeping on as our kids have grown, and she's been a stay-at-home mom and has done a very good job for many, many years. And but only when the kids started to get all mostly grown up did she start really taking a little bit of interest. And that's really not so much interest in the real estate. She really doesn't have that much interest in it. But she does do the books on a few of the buildings, and because she has time to do it now, and she does a good job of it. So that's all I'm going to say on that. All right, so Jeb, let's see. Yes, just buy and sell whatever you can right now. You start, yeah, I agree, Jeb. You know, you go with what you know. You know, I'll tell you, now that I have hundreds of tenants, I see how many ways there are to make money, because, you know, I've got so many different tenants that do so many different things out of their office, or, you know, there's just so many different things, you know, software developers and, you know, hardware developers and let's see. I'm down to 8% battery on my laptop, so we got a little time here. But yeah, like Jeb says, in fact, Jeb, I was talking about Gary Brenderson. He's a guy that was a dairy farmer, milking cows. Is a Dutchman, and he's one of the biggest, or one of what we call a constructor in the world. He's done desalination plants. I think he was the 5th largest in the world when I met him. And I think since then he's gone down, but he's got a safety record like nobody else. But now that's a guy that when I met him, he had 2 jets. So you know, you've been pretty successful when you have one jet for your executives to be flown around and one for yourself to be flown around in. I only met him and talked to him once, so even though he was my friend's cousin or uncle, it took us 6 months to get a meeting with him. But he was a really neat guy, a really nice guy, and I appreciate him taking time for us. And that was about 30 years ago, too. But, you know, it is kind of cool because you can, like I say, you can kind of role model people that, you know, have what you want or have certain skills that you like, or, you know, and I've done a lot of that myself, too, with some of the people that I've met in my life that you know, it could be a builder, it could have been, you know, real estate investors. I've met quite a few, and so it's always good. because you know, if somebody can do it, you can too, right? I mean, really, if that's what I've never really been one to be negative or jealous about somebody that does really well. I'm just curious because I want that. I want that, and that's how I think it's a healthy attitude. It's like, you're doing what, really? And it's like, hey, maybe I'll do that too. You know, I mean, as long as it doesn't require any, you know, heavy education, you know, other than self-education and what you can learn on the go, I'm game. But so anyways, I think we're running out of time here, so I'm going to have to cut it short. Looks like we've been on a little while, but I'm not going to be able to read questions anymore on my laptop because it's down to 4%. So we'll hang in here for a little while till that goes dead, I guess. But that's all you know, really, things get in people's way. You know, I think about relationships and heartaches and heartbreaks, and I remember a girl broke my heart. Oh, man, I liked her. And I'll tell you, she's probably responsible for really jump-starting the business because I was so heartbroken. All I did was work to not think about her. I just worked and worked and worked. And so I'll tell you, it's really, I think it's really smart because I tell anybody, so when people have girlfriend problems, you know, somebody works for you. I mean, I had a guy, you know, I'd say, man, look, you know, I know when you've had a fight because your work goes down the tubes every time you have a fight with your girlfriend. And I've had other employees too, same kind of thing. And, you know, if you have a breakup and you're suffering, or if you have something, just throw yourself into your work, really. And I'll tell you why. You throw yourself into your work, you're going to make your boss happy. You're going to make more money. If you can keep working overtime, you're going to be making money, not spending money. Because, you know, look, if you're upset, a lot of times, you know, some people, their work goes to pot. You know, maybe they go to the bar, they start to drink, they're even less productive, and things just, you know, they just kind of go downhill. Fortunately, therapy for me is I just work. Or if I'm in trouble, or if I need money, or, you know what, I just work. I just double down and work harder, work harder, work harder. And it always has served me well. Because that's the problem you want to have is, you know, maybe have more money and less time. That's probably a good thing. But at least at some point in your life. Because when you get older, you know, like I say, I tell you, the younger you are, the more energy you have, and the more urgent it is, you get some skills. And like I said, I don't want to ever discourage anybody. I don't care if you're 50, 60 years old. You know, you can make a big change in your life making money in real estate. And like I said, that $140,000 deal. I mean, whose life wouldn't get a little better with 90 grand in the bank and $2,500 a month income? You know, it's nice. And you know, that's the kind of deals. Those can happen to anybody if you're always out there on the prowl looking. But that's the sacrifice, is, you know, just getting educated on properties in your area. And like I say, you may take a shine to land or commercial property or apartments or duplexes or fourplexes or whatever. And it doesn't matter what it is, as long as you're buying it under market and there's a buyer to flip it to, you're good. You're good. So anyways, I guess this is probably as good as time as ever to kill it, because I'm not going to be able to read any questions anymore. So hey, just want to say thanks for watching. Really appreciate everybody tuning in and asking questions. You know, we'll you know, sharing with each other is always good. And I see one more question here. Since real estate sort of fell into your lap as a teen, what do you want to be as a kid? I'm not sure I understand, MJ. What did I want to be as a kid? You know, I thought I wanted to have a cabinet shop in a mountain in the woods, and, you know, fish and make enough and, you know, just live out in some beautiful mountain. My dreams have changed. And probably because of real estate, and the money made in real estate probably had something to do with that. I still enjoy going to the mountains, but you know, I don't care if I ever cut a piece of wood again, except if it's on just one of the jobs or not. I've had enough of cabinet making, and I did it for 9 years, 8 months, and it was good, and I made some money, and it was fun. But yeah. Anyways, but so yeah, thanks everybody, and we'll you know, hey, we'll do it again here another couple of nights. And I think I can show you the lake house. I was at the lake house earlier today, raining like crazy, but I put some wrought iron in. I got a guy, Cody. I got a little, my gal that works for me, Jennifer, she does my editing. She's been busy doing other stuff right now, but I got a clip of Cody, a welder that does my welding, and I went out today and I got a clip actually of that too. I got some nice wrought iron put in over there at the lake house. Really the last thing I had to do. From here, now it's just kind of touching up, caulking here and taping and, you know, just little touch-ups, just little minor things, some blinds and stuff. So, but yeah, you can check that out if you want. But other than that, we'll just, you know, we'll just keep open topics and, you know, go where you guys want to go. I thought it'd be interesting to talk about levels of investors, or like whether you have you know, if you have $1,000 or maybe you have 10,000, or and then maybe even talk to you guys that maybe have $50,000 or 100,000. You know, and we can talk about what you can do. It's all kind of relative, anyways. Just kind of bigger deals. But so I'll let it go there. Flip Anything USA. Again, thanks everybody for hanging out. Enjoy it. So we'll talk again. Good night.